Hello there, this is Sarah Eber with the Lincoln University Cooperative Extension with another Vital Vittle. Don't cluck your luck. We want to talk today a little bit about food safety when working with raw chickens and turkeys at home. You may hear me use the word poultry and chicken and turkeys interchangeably. Technically, the word poultry is really a general word that refers to chicken, turkey, pheasant, quail, or any bird you intend to eat. And luckily, these food safety rules apply to all of them. Never wash your chickens or your turkeys before you prepare them. When you go to the grocery store to buy raw chicken or raw turkey, place your chicken in a disposable bag before putting it in your shopping cart or in your refrigerator so you can prevent any raw meat juice from getting onto your other foods. Always make sure you wash your hands with warm soapy water for 20 seconds before and after handling chicken or turkey or any poultry. Do not wash raw chicken. That just makes all the juices scatter, and all the bacteria that's on that bird now is getting all over the other surfaces and can continue to grow and make people sick. You may also want to consider using a separate cutting board for raw chicken or any raw meat versus a cutting board that you would use for fruits, vegetables, or breads. Never place cooked food or fresh produce on a plate or a cutting board or any other surface that previously held raw chicken. Make sure you wash your cutting boards, your utensils, your dishes, and your countertops with hot soapy water. Make sure you do also that with any other food surface that previously held raw chicken. Handle raw, frozen, microwavable poultry like you would raw poultry. Wash your hands, make sure the surfaces are clean and sanitized. If you think the chicken that you're served at a restaurant or anywhere else is not fully cooked, send it back and have them make sure it's all the way cooked. Be sure to refrigerate or freeze leftover chicken within 2 hours after you've prepared it or processed it, or within an hour if a temperature is really warm in your kitchen. Okay? Use a food thermometer to make sure your poultry cooks to 165 internal temperature. So that means you want that thermometer to be all the way deep into the muscle at the coolest part it could possibly be in the center, and that needs to be 165 degrees. If you have any other questions about safely cooking chicken, the website here at the bottom, www.cdc.gov/food safety/chicken, will provide you with lots of good information. Now, a little bit about using disinfectants. Good general washing, regardless of what you're washing, is using nice hot soapy water first to make sure that all the food particles and the surfaces are clean. When you want to use a disinfectant, you want to use 1 tablespoon of unscented chlorine bleach for 1 gallon of water. Make sure that water is not hot. It's like room temperature or a little bit cooler. If it's hot, the chlorine fumes will rise. The bleach water is not as effective, and those fumes are bad for you to breathe. When you're thinking about cutting boards, plastic, glass, or non-porous acrylic and solid wood cutting boards can be washed in the dishwasher with good hot soapy water. That's going to get rid of all that bacteria. And then if you've been using raw meat on top of those things, then you can disinfect that. You might consider using 2 cutting boards. 1 cutting board for raw meat, another for fruits, vegetables, and breads. And another website that talks a little bit more in depth about home food safety, the 4 steps in using cutting boards, is www.eatright.org/home food safety /4 steps /separate /cutting board. But I want to talk a minute about what is non-porous and porous. When you hear those terms, what that means is porous means full of holes. It means it allows water or other things to kind of get through or get in. That's porous. Non-porous means it doesn't let water or other things through. So when we were talking about non-porous acrylic cutting boards, that means there are some acrylic cutting boards that are porous. They've got there's spaces that bacteria and infected fluid can get in and stay and grow more bacteria. So you want to avoid porous surfaces. Now, there are 6 steps for safe and effective disinfectant use. Now, the EPA has approved certain disinfectants for use against the COVID-19 virus and against salmonella that really does seem to kill those things. Your first step is to check the epa.gov/list N, and it'll give you a whole list of all the products. One of the very common ones that you can purchase in the store is Clorox Cleanup. This one works really well and meets those EPA guidelines. And it's very strong. You're going to want to use it just like you would treat bleach water. Gloves, and use it only with gloves so it doesn't tear up your hands. Follow the product's directions. Check that use sites and the surface types. That'll be listed on the bottle to see where you can use the product. Make sure you read the precautionary statements. Make sure to wash the surface with soapy water, good warm soap and water, especially if it's visibly dirty. And then you can usually find the contact time in the directions. That usually, it will tell you specifically, leave this on for XYZ amount of time. This particular one says to clean and disinfect hard, non-porous surfaces, let stand 30 seconds. Then rinse or wipe clean. That means that in 30 seconds, this is going to kill those bacteria. Make sure you wear gloves and wash your hands before and after you're disinfecting things. Make sure the lids are tightly closed and store them out of the reach of children. Now, a lot of these things will come with a little cap that says off and on. So you turn it to the off position and then put it in a locked cabinet or someplace that the kids can't get to it, because this is very toxic and can make people very ill. And it's especially important too, if you're going to spray this, that any dishes or any other food contact surface or any surface that you're going to eat off of doesn't come in contact with this. So pull all the clean dishes out of the sink and only spray it in a finite area, and make sure you follow the directions. So when you're preparing your work surface, wash your hands, soapy water, wipe it off, then disinfect. And don't forget to clean, separate, cook, and chill as you prepare those surfaces and when you handle food. I wanted to take a quick minute and talk a little bit about brining, because this is a really common practice. It's an easy way to make your poultry, especially chicken and turkey, really juicy and tender. But it requires that you follow all those steps that we just talked about for clean work surfaces. So clean everything first, just like you would have done. Wash your hands. Also wash and sanitize any surfaces like countertops or the cutting boards or whatever. Using that tablespoon of unscented liquid chlorine bleach per gallon of water. Or you've cleaned and sanitized and rinsed or patted it dry as it told you. Separate those foods. So you want to keep everything else away from the raw meat. Do not wash the bird prior to brining. What is brining? Brining is really simply preparing a solution, generally of salt, and a lot of people will put other seasonings in there too, like maybe a little sugar or bay leaf or lemon juice, all kinds of things. It can be very tasty, and you can Google some really good brine recipes for chicken and turkey. But you want to make sure that when you mix the brine, all the salt is dissolved. Don't leave the turkey sitting out while you're preparing the brine. If it's a brine that requires that you cook it, you need to make sure the bird is in the refrigerator and covered while you're making the brine, and you want to make sure the brine cools off really well before you pour it on the turkey or the chicken. Be sure the container will fit in the fridge, just like this one right here that they're brining in. Now, this is going to be a little tough. Can you see the error here? Look, they're not going to be able to submerge unless they tie that bag off. They need to submerge that bird in that brining solution. So it should be completely covering the entire turkey or chicken or the chicken parts. And the container needs to fit in the refrigerator. Do not brine any longer than 2 days. And always keep the turkey and or the chicken and the brine refrigerated. So once you've done this brining process, the whole thing needs to go in the refrigerator. And if you're following a recipe, leave it in the refrigerator for whatever the recipe tells you, but never more than 2 days. If you have some questions or would like to read more about brining, there's an excellent USDA site, www.usda.gov/media. This is a blog called Brining Safely, and it gives all of this in detail. Make sure that you keep all your meats refrigerated to 40 degrees or below, and when you cook them, you get all your poultry, whether it's chicken or quail or turkey or any of those things, make sure that it cooks to 165 degrees internal temperature. Make sure the thermometer goes all the way in, the thickest part, just like you see here. It's in the breast. That's the thickest part of the muscle there. For more information about using a home thermometer, you can go to the Lincoln University Cooperative Extension Human Nutrition and Health Program webpage and check out home use of instant read thermometers. And here's the website for that as well. Now, Please be sure to keep your friends and loved ones safe when you're preparing raw meat and chicken and turkey at home. Don't wash it before you put it in the refrigerator, freeze it, or cook it. Make sure your hands are clean, your work surfaces are cleaned and sanitized before you handle the raw meat and as soon as you're done. Don't go from handling raw meat to ready to eat food like fruits and vegetables. Keep your cutting boards cleaned and sanitized, or use two and keep them both clean and sanitized, using one for raw meat and one for everything else. If you have any other questions or would like some more information, contact Lincoln University Cooperative Extension at 573-632-5392 or your local Lincoln University Cooperative Extension professional. You can also reach me on Twitter at #SarahJEber or on Facebook at Fun Food for Life. Keep your friends and your loved ones safe and enjoy that turkey and chicken or your poultry.